So, Overwatch is almost 4 years old now. Wait, what? I've been playing Overwatch since just before Halloween of 2016, and while I still love the game, I definitely think there's a lot wrong with it. Welcome to the chaos of Overwatch, the start to a series where I basically complain about things that I love, but at least try to do it in a somewhat comedic manner. Wait, hold on. So as I said at the start of the video, Overwatch has been out for almost 4 years now, but honestly, it doesn't really feel like it. Since launch, we've only gotten a couple of new heroes, a couple new maps, and a couple new game modes, with most of those being rotated out every few months to fit whichever event is making another comeback. Like Blizzard, seriously, can we at least get some variety in the events? They're basically the same events every time, with the only different thing being the new skins. Speaking of skins, that honestly really seems to be where a lot of the focus on new content went, because we get a ton of those every couple months, but new maps and heroes are few and far between in comparison. I don't really care much about the skins anymore anyway, since I use just either the default Overwatch or the default Overwatch League skin for whichever team I've got on that hero. The thing about skins, though, that I really do hate is which ones you get are basically locked behind loot box RNG, and there's really only one way to get the skins you want, and that's hope to God that RNGesus has smiled upon you when you bought another loot box. I'm not going to harp on the whole loot box thing too much since that's kind of been done to death, but still, just let me buy the cosmetics that I actually want instead of making me have to pray to RNGesus every time. You've already got an in-game currency that, is basically useless otherwise. Just make it so you get a bit more of that after every level up, and give the option to buy more if you really want to keep that god-awful greedy-ass microtransaction around. The game itself has basically not changed a whole lot since launch either. Sure, there's been new heroes and maps, but basically every match boils down to which team got RNG'd into having the better team. If you play solo at all, a lot of matches can feel like a coin was flipped at the start of the match to determine which team was going to have the better players, and it can often feel like the odds are stacked against you, especially when you get put against obvious smurfs or hackers for the umpteenth match in a row. Meta basically only matters to players ranked diamond and above, and with plat and below being a complete mess where anything is viable, any strategy can work, and a lot of matches really do come down to which team had the better RNG that day. A lot of players, especially in plat and below, would complain that the game was basically either really fun because you got decent teammates, or really frustrating because your teammates were potatoes, and the upper ranked part of the community and Blizzard both basically dismissed that as low ranked only problems. But when the ex-Dallas Fuel player Seagull voiced his concerns of that same regard, suddenly it magically became top priority to fix that problem. I guess that's a halfway decent segue into easily the worst part of Overwatch, the community. Granted, the community is almost always the worst part of anything, but Overwatch's is uniquely bad, at least to me. Any player in plat and below basically doesn't matter to both Blizzard or the upper part of the community, especially pro players who don't really seem interested in doing anything aside from mocking low-ranked players, especially if they're high-level but low-ranked. The pro community themselves are definitely not much better, since a lot of the advice they give sounds very scripted and unenthusiastic, like it's super obvious they're being paid to say it and couldn't otherwise give a fuck about anybody outside of their exclusive little bubble. What's worse is that the general player base is just hostile. Everybody tilts super easy, and you'll often be fighting your own team just to try to keep some semblance of teamwork. Then you'll get the people that'll spam very sarcastic GG type messages in the all chat, but you get those in just about every online game, so it's not uniquely an Overwatch problem. The other main issue I have with the community is actually the whole culture of maining a hero, because oftentimes a player's main won't be working and they'll be asked to switch to a more viable or situationally relevant hero, but they'll refuse because, but I'm a insert hero main. Personally, the only hero I ever mained was D.Va, and that was back way before role queue, and even then it was just a matter of she was a hero that I played a lot, that I thought was fun, and nobody ever really complained about anybody insta-locking a tank or a support back then. And she was just fun. At least I thought so anyway. But I'm actually at the point now where I have an idea of how to play every hero, but I have at least 3 heroes per role that I can comfortably play and still do okay. Oh, and just because some people are probably going to ask, my most comfortable tanks are D.Va, Ryan, and Roadhog. DPS are Junkrat, Reaper, and Hanzo. And actually for support, the only hero I really struggle with is Ana. So I could talk about more of the maining culture, but I'm actually saving that for a What Your Overwatch Main Says About You video that I'm working on. Now, there have been changes to the game over the years that have at least made some difference, though. Symmetra and Torbjorn were 2 of the game's major troll picks, especially for people who tend to one-trick, but they both wound up getting reworked to be just generally more viable. Hell, Symmetra got reworked twice. One change that's basically useless now, though, is the endorsement system. Basically, if someone on your team is a good shot caller, generally a good teammate, or just a good sport, you can give them a little commendation accordingly. But the only thing that those are good for now is just a tiny bit of XP for giving them out, and occasionally a free loot box or two. Whoop-de-fucking-do. The role queue is definitely a good start, since now you would actually for sure have tanks and supports on your team, but if you want to exclusively play DPS, you're going to be in a long wait for any old match, and if you have tank selected at all, you're gonna be playing tank. Personally, I always just queue for all three roles and just take what I get, so I tend to most often get tank and occasionally get support, but I very rarely get DPS. Recently, they added hero pools where certain few heroes are just unplayable for a week, but to me it doesn't really seem too big a deal, since really all that does is just discourage those specific heroes' one tricks from playing for a week, and hasn't really made the game feel any more or less fun to me. Oh yeah, and there was the workshop, but I never personally really cared about custom modes. What doesn't help any of this is Blizzard themselves. They really only care about making money because they're a bunch of greedy fucks, and have made it clear that they don't really care about the players so long as they keep buying their stuff. Warcraft 3 Remastered. Blitzchung. Hell, with the Blitzchung issue, they never actually admitted what they did wrong, and just offered a vague, insincere apology and then quietly turned people's attention to Overwatch 2. Oh yeah, so Overwatch 2 feels like it's more just a version 2.0 update with optional PvE expansion pack. Blizzard has said that Overwatch 1 and 2 will have the same graphics, heroes, and maps, but the only thing unique to Overwatch 2 that you won't be able to access if you just keep playing Overwatch 1 is the new PvE missions. And sure, while I thought Uprising, Retribution, and Junkenstein's Revenge were all fun, I don't know if I want to pay another $40 to $60 just for PvE missions. If it were closer to 20 or lower, maybe, but knowing Blizzard, and especially their parent company Activision, it's probably going to be at least $40. I'm actually willing to bet on that. I still like Overwatch, or at least I want to. I used to have so much fun playing the game, but honestly, after the Retribution event in early 2016, the game just kind of lost its magic for me. I got sick of RNG basically deciding how my entire experiences were going to be, and I fell off. I'd come back every event, or maybe every couple months, depending, see what was new, play a few matches, and then basically just go, yep, this still isn't fun, and probably get right back off the game and on to something else. I'm still very stubborn though, and I want to recapture that same feeling of fun that Overwatch gave me way back then. And I'm still hopeful that maybe someday I can recapture that magic, but for now the game is just an absolute mess, and I only get frustrated playing it. The game, frankly, is in a state of, well, chaos. No pun intended. Okay, so because I don't actually have a proper outro, like I said, I do still like Overwatch, but it's just been kind of a mess for me lately, and maybe later they can add something new that'll change it, but for now I don't really see that happening. I am working on the What Your Overwatch Main Says About You video, which actually is going to be more of a parody kind of video, so it's not really going to be meant to be taken too seriously, but I am working on that, so please watch for that, because I'm actually going to be putting a bit of effort into that. If you did enjoy the video, feel free to leave a like, comment, let me know. Feel free to subscribe if you're new. I am going to actually try to get back to regular uploads, especially now that I'm kind of stuck in my house all day. And I don't really have a better way to end the video than that, so I will see you next time.